Hi friends, welcome to English Study Point. Today in this video lecture I am going to discuss Edmund Spenser's The Epithalamion, and this video is part number 3. Behold, whilst she before the altar stands. So the imagery introduces the bride at the altar, evoking a moment of sacredness and reverence associated with the wedding ceremony. Hearing the holy priest that to her speak. So, the presence of a priest emphasizes the religious and ceremonial aspects of marriage, highlighting the sanctity of the occasion. And blesseth her with his two happy hands. So, the priest's blessing conveys a sense of joy and positivity, symbolizing the divine approval of the union. How the red roses flush up in her cheeks. So, the bride's blush symbolizes innocence and beauty. It can also suggest a mix of shyness and joy, as red roses are associated with love, and the pure snow with goodly vermeil stain. So the white means pure snow and red is vermilion colors contrast, suggesting a harmony of purity and passion in the bride's character, like crimson dyed in grain. So the analogy to crimson dye further enhances the vivid imagery of the bride's cheeks, highlighting her beauty and emotional state, evoking delicate artistry that even the angels which continually. So, this line introduces angels, suggesting that divine beings are present, reinforcing the sacredness of the event. About the sacred altar do remain. So, the altar is a focal point of religiosity, suggesting the marriage is not only a personal union but also a spiritual one. Forget their service and about her fly. So, the angels' distraction from their duties emphasizes the bride's extraordinary beauty and significance at this moment of peeping in her face that seems more fair. So the angels gaze upon the bride, captivated by her appearance. This further shows her attractiveness and radiance. The more they on it stare. So their continual admiration suggests that her beauty is ineffable, captivating even celestial beings, but her sad eyes still fastened on the ground. So this contrast indicates modesty and humility. Despite her beauty, she remains grounded and demure, are governed with goodly modesty. So her modesty is presented as a positive trait, showcasing her purity and virtue as a bride that suffers not one look to glance or read. So she avoids any inappropriate gaze or flattery, reinforcing her virtuous character, which may let in a little thought unsown. So, this implies that she is cautious of any thoughts or temptations that could tarnish her integrity. Why blush, ye love, to give to me your hand? So, the speaker directly addressed the bride, expressing affection and a sense of intimacy. The pledge of all our band. So, act of exchanging hands symbolizes commitment and unity in marriage. Sing, ye sweet angels, Alleluia, sing. So, the call for angels to sing emphasizes the celebratory nature of the marriage, creating an atmosphere of joy that all the woods may answer and your echo ring. So, the idea that nature will respond reinforces theme of harmony, suggesting that the union is joyous and worthy of celebration in the world around them. Now, here we see, now all is done, bring home the bride again. So the speaker announces the conclusion of the wedding ceremony and calls for the bride to be brought home, emphasizing completion and the transition to festivities. Bring home the triumph of our victory. So the triumph signifies the successful union of marriage, celebrating the joy and triumph over obstacles in love. Bring home with you the glory of her gain. So the speaker refers to the bride's beauty and virtue, suggesting that the marriage is not only a personal victory but also a public celebration of love's glorious attributes. With joyance bring her and with jollity. So a call for a joyful celebration underscoring the happiness of the occasion. Joyance and jollity both emphasize festivity. Never had men more joyful day than this. So the speaker expresses that this day surpasses any previous day in joy, highlighting the significance of the moment. whom heaven would heap with bliss. So the speaker wishes divine blessings upon the couple, linking their happiness with heavenly favor. Make feast, therefore, now all this live long day. So this is an invitation to celebrate throughout the day with feasting, echoing the jubilant nature of the wedding. This day forever to me holy is. So the speaker sanctifies this wedding day, elevating its importance as a sacred moment in time. Pour out the wine without restraint or stay. So a call to abundance and indulgence, implying that the celebration should be lavish and unrestrained. Pour not by cups but by the belly full. So hyperbolic expression advocating for a generous pouring of wine, suggesting a desire for a merry and uninhibited celebration. Pour out to all the wool. So, an inclusive invitation urging everyone to partake in the rivalry, promoting community and shared joy, and sprinkle all the posts and walls with wine. So, the act of sprinkling wine symbolizes both celebration and a blessing over the environment, creating a festive atmosphere that they may sweet and drunken be with all. So, suggest an atmosphere so lively that even the surroundings seem to partake in the festivities, invoking a sense of warmth and abundant. Crown ye God Bacchus with a coronal. So, invoking Bacchus, the Roman god of wine and rivalry, underscores the drunken joy and pleasure of the feast. And Hymen also crowned with wreaths of wine. So Hymen is the god of marriage, and here he is honored with decorations linking the celebration of love with the joys of wine. And let the Graces dance unto the rest. So the Graces, goddesses of charm and beauty, symbolize the delightful and pleasing aspects of the wedding, elevating the joy of the occasion, for they can do it best, asserting that the Graces are the most suitable figures to celebrate the occasion, emphasizing beauty and celebration, the whilst the maidens do their carol sing. So the maidens singing adds to the celebratory atmosphere, enhancing the festive tone of the proceedings. To which the moods shall answer, and their echo ring. So the imagery of nature responding to the joy of celebration suggests harmony between humanity and the natural world, enhancing the sense of an encompassing joyful moment. Now here we see, ring ye the bells, ye young men of the town. So the speaker calls on the young men of the town to ring the bells, signaling a festive occasion, and leave your wonted labors for this day. So he urges them to set aside their usual work to participate in the celebration, emphasizing the day's importance. This day is holy, though ye write it down. So the day is marked as sacred, deserving of remembrance, a day meant for joy and celebration, that ye forever it remember me. So the speaker wants them to remember this special day, indicating it has lasting significance. This day the sun is in his chiefest height. So the time of the day is peak sunlight, suggesting a metaphor for fertility, growth and life, themes associated with marriage. With Barnaby the bride, Barnaby refers to Saint Barnabas, whose feast day occurs around this time. This adds a religious connotation to the celebration, from whence declining daily by degrees. So the sun, after reaching its zenith, will gradually decline, symbolizing the cyclical nature of life. He somewhat loses of his heat and light. So as the sun begins its decline, it begins to lose intensity, echoing the inevitable passage of time and perhaps the changes in life and love. When once the crab behind his back he sees. So this line refers to the zodiac sign Cancer, the crab, signifying summer's end and hinting at the seasonal cycle. It symbolizes transformation, but for this time it ill ordained was. So the speaker critiques the timing of the celebration. The longest day is not ideal for a wedding celebration, to choose the longest day in all the year. So the longest day, the summer solstice, becomes a point of contention for planning fails, suggesting that long days can feel tiresome, and shortest night when longest persever. So the shortest night also presents challenges, possibly implying that a marriage celebration needs space to breathe, not too much light. Yet never days so long, but late would pass. So regardless of the day's length, time inevitably moves forward, reflecting on the fleeting nature of the celebration. Ring ye the bells to make it wear away. So the ringing of bells serves to hasten the day, to cover the time with music and joy, and bonfires make all day. So there is an invitation to create bonfires for warmth and light, enhancing the festive atmosphere, and dawns about them and about them sing. So a call for dancing and singing around the bonfires emphasizes traditional celebration and community joy. That all the woods may answer and your echo ring. So the speaker hopes the natural world will respond to their celebration, creating an echo back, a reminder of unity with nature and spirits. Oh, when will this long weary day have end? So the speaker expresses his yearning for the day to conclude, emphasizing the fatigue that comes from awaiting a significant event means his wedding. And lend me leave to come unto my love. So he longs for permission or the opportunity to reunite with his beloved, hinting or highlighting the deep emotional attachment and anticipation. How slowly do the hours they number spend? So time is depicted as dragging on, with the hours feeling elongated in their passage as he awaits the evening. How slowly does sad time his feathers move? So the personification of time as sad emphasizes the speaker's despair. The motion of time is depicted as tedious. Has thee, O fairest planet, to thy home. So the fair planet refers to the evening star, likely Venus, calling upon its beauty and connection to love, wishing it to hurry home, signifying the coming night within the Western form. So, the use of Western form suggests the setting sun. The imagery conveys the end of the day which he eagerly awaits. So, thy tired steeds long since have need of rest. So, the tired steeds likely symbolize the sun's chariot. He notes that they too have worked hard throughout the day and deserve respite. Long though it be, at last I see it gloom. So the speaker recognizes that the wait has been long, yet he also sees the dusk arriving, symbolizing hope as it approaches twilight. And the bright evening star with golden crease. So the evening star is described as bright and adorned with a golden crest, enhancing its beauty and significance in guiding lovers appear out of the east. So the star's appearance from the east represents the transition from day to light to day to night. It further emphasizes the speaker's anticipation and hope. Fair child of beauty, glorious lamp of love. So, the title given to the evening star recognizes its role as a symbol of beauty and love, personifying it as a benevolent force that all the host of heaven in uh, ranks do lead. So the star is depicted as a leader among heavenly bodies, emphasizing its importance and guiding role in the night sky and guides lovers through the night's dread. So the speaker acknowledges the star's protective influence over lovers, guiding them through the darkness, which symbolizes fear and uncertainty. How cheerfully thou lookest from above. So the star appears joyful and bright, representing happiness and warmth to the lovers below, and seems to laugh atween thy twinkling light. So the twinkling suggests playfulness, as if the star delights in the festivities and love it witnesses as joying in the sight. So this line emphasizes the connection between the star and the lovers, portraying a shared joy in the celebration of love. Of these glad many, which for joy do sing. So the celebration of love is echoed by the voices of many, suggesting a communal joy and the joyous atmosphere surrounding the bride and groom, that all the woods them answer and their echo ring. So the natural world responds to the celebration with woods echoing the happiness, creating a harmonious connection between mankind and nature. Now here we see, now seize ye damsels your delights forepass. So the speaker calls on the maidens to stop their earlier celebrations, means that the time for festivities has ended. Enough is it that all the day was yours. So the speaker acknowledges that the day has been dedicated to the maidens' enjoyment. Now day is done and night is ning fast. So the transition from day to night symbolizes the end of the ceremony and the beginning of the wedding night. Now bring the bride into the bridal bourse. So the speaker urges the attendants to escort the bride to her bridal chamber, signaling the intimacy and fulfillment of their union. Now here we see that now night is come, now soon her disarray. So the arrival of night suggests a setting for intimacy. Disarray implies the bride's transformation into a state of rest or vulnerability, and in her bed her lay. So the speaker envisions the bride lying in bed, reinforcing the personal and tender nature of the marriage. Lay her in lilies and in violets. So the lilies and violets symbolize purity and modesty, emphasizing the bride's chaste beauty and the sacredness of marriage. And silken curtains over her display. Silken curtains suggest luxury and comfort, enhancing the romantic atmosphere of the bridal chamber. And ornate sheets and arras coverlets. So the mention of scented sheets and ornate coverlets adds sensual imagery, intensifying the emotional and physical connection. Behold how goodly my fair love does lie. So the speaker marvels at the beauty of his bride, showcasing deep admiration and affection in proud humility. So this phrase suggests a paradox. Despite her beauty means proud, she remains humble in her demeanor, enhancing her appeal. Like unto Maya, when as Jove her took. So the comparison to Maya, goddess of spring and mother of Hermes, elevates the bride's beauty, linking her to divine femininity and mythological grandeur. In temple lying on the flowery grass, so the reference to Temp, a beautiful valley in Greece, evokes lush imagery and idealizing the setting. Twixt sleep and wake after she weary was. So this describes a dreamy state, signifying a peaceful transition akin to the bride's state of mind, with bathing in the Acidalian brook. So the Acidalian brook symbolizes purity and rejuvenation through nature, suggesting the bride's freshness and allure. Now it is night, ye damsels may be gone. So the speaker indicates that the celebration is over and it's time for privacy and leave my love alone. So this desire for solitude emphasizes intimacy and the exclusivity of their relationship, and leave likewise your former lay to sing. So the speaker requests the maids to cease their songs, hinting that their joy has transitioned to a more intimate form of love. The woods no more shall answer, nor your echo ring. So the silence of the woods signifies a transition from the larger community celebration to the private love between the bride and groom, marking the end of public festivities. Now welcome night, thou night so long expected. So the speaker personifies night, welcoming it with a sense of yearning and anticipation that long days labor does at last defray. So the speaker expresses relief that the hardships of the day are over, signaling the arrival of rest and solace, and all my cares which cruel love collected. So reflecting on the worry stemming from love, he acknowledges that these burdens are now gathered together, has summed in one and cancelled for A. So this suggests a resolution. Night brings an end to the turmoil caused by love. Spread thy broad wing over my love and me. So the speaker requests night to provide a protective cover over himself and his beloved, that no man may us see. So this line expresses a desire for privacy and intimacy, shielded from the eyes of the world. And in thy sable mantle us enwrap. So the imagery of a sable mantle emphasizes darkness as a comforting and protective presence, from fear of peril and fool horror free. So the speaker desires freedom from fear and danger, indicating the vulnerability that love can bring. Let no false treason seek us to entrap. So the speaker wishes for protection against trickery, symbolizing the dangers that lurk even in love, nor any dread disquiet once annoy. So he hopes for a peaceful night, free from disturbances that threaten their joy. The safety of our joys. This underscores the importance of security in their happiness. But let the night be calm and quietsome. A plea for a serene night, supporting theme of tranquility without tempestuous storms or said affray. So the speaker contrasts the desired calm with chaos and conflict, wanting to avoid any tumult, like as when Jove with fair Alcmena lay. So a reference to mythology, conjuring the image of Zeus, who is associated with Jove, with Alcmena, suggesting the knight's entity in love when he begot the great Corinthian groom. So this evokes Hercules' legacy, creating a sense of heroic lineage from love, or like as when he with thy selfie did lie. So the speaker again alludes to myth indicating the divine nature of their union and begot majesty. So majesty refers to both the divine and the regal nature of love, representing its grandeur. And let the maids and young men cease to sing. So the speaker wishes for silence from external celebrations, indicating a desire for personal and intimate moments. Nay, let the woods them answer, nor their echoing. So a wish for nature to remain indifferent, enhancing the private atmosphere between lovers. Then with this video lecture ends here. Hope this video lecture will help you in your exams. Thank you.